Okay, so while waiting for the participants sa aning online class, so again, this is week 6, Monday, November 9, 2020 for BPA 2. Topic will be governance and history. So for this topic, your learning outcomes. Okay, we have number 1. Explain the differences between the two intellectual tendencies in governance. And then learning outcome number 2, explain the theoretical idea of the state. And then lastly, explain the empirical idea of the state. Okay, so as of this moment, the participants, hopefully, maka-attend tong uban sa atong online karon sa ato ang live stream. If dili available ang inyong live stream, pwede gihapon mo maka-participate sa ato ang group chat. Okay, so I'll be posting in the group chat ang ato ang topic karon. Okay? So, posted na dito. Okay, we still have 2 participants only. Okay, so let us continue. Okay, so definitions, hierarchy. Let me post this sa inyong group chat. So definition of terms para mahibaw-an nato unsa ang mga pasabot. Okay, so hierarchy, it is a system or organization in which people or groups are ranked one above the other according to status or authority. Then homogeneous, from Greek homogeneous, from homos, same, and then genus, race, they're all the same or similar. Hybrid, it is a thing made by combining two different elements or processes. And then we have market, it is the state of trade at a particular time or in a particular context. The network, it is a group of people who exchange information, contacts, and experience for professional or social purposes. And then state, a nation or territory considered as an organized political community under one government. Okay, so mo to siyang definition of terms. Then, so, ang overview sa atong topic, which will be posted again sa inyong group chat. For those who are not available sa ato ang live stream. Okay, so overview in governance and history. The process under the new governance involves organization hybrids that cross hierarchy, market, and network. It embraces multiple actors from the public, private, and voluntary sectors. Okay, the first challenge to the idea of the state was theoretical, while the second challenge was more of empirical. Okay, so let us proceed sa atong topic, which is governance and history. Okay, so governance is about processes of rule more than institutions of government. Further, under the new governance, these processes increasingly involve organizational hybrids that cross hierarchy, market, and network, and embrace multiple actors from the public, private, and voluntary sectors. Nonetheless, the reader should not think that governance is a recent invention. The word governance has a long history. The medieval poet Geoffrey Chaucer wrote The Governance of the House and Land. Then another way to introduce the coherence and the importance of the concept of governance is therefore to ask why it was prevalent then and now, but not much of the modern era. Okay? So the concept of governance has waxed and waned in opposition to belief in the sovereign state. When people believe in a unified sovereign state, they often talk about its government. When they do not believe in the state, they concentrate more on the complex and messy processes of governance. The word government characteristically sits best with a moral or empirical belief in a homogeneous nation under a unified state. The word governance evokes more plural, moral, and empirical visions. Okay, so a state is an organized political community under one government. It is a political institution that has a monopoly of the legitimate use of force within its territory. This idea of the state arose in the early modern era. The early theorists of the sovereign state did not describe it as something that already existed. On the contrary, they argued that people should make the state a reality or treat it as if it were a reality. They were making ethical and legal arguments in favor of the state. Okay, for example, Thomas Hobbes thought that having a single sovereign power over a territory would prevent civil war. International lawyers argued that formal recognition of the state's sovereignty would reduce conflict and lead to more harmonious internal relations. So before Tamo proceed, so let me ask question number one para na may participation sa atong klase karon labi ni sa tulo ka buok na nakalagin. So question number one. Define civil war. Okay, for starter lang na ah. Okay, so number one, for your participation, please comment your answer. Okay, so what is civil war? Okay, I will be waiting for your answers. So while waiting po, let us continue sa ato ang topic. By the 18th century, the modern state was being taken for granted. Instead of arguing for it, people were treating it as a fact about the world. This acceptance of the state reflected changes in theory and practice. In practice, many European states had become increasingly centralized and powerful. The previous century had witnessed a gradual consolidation of territories under single authorities. European monarchs had exerted their power over local lords, taken greater control of public finances, and created various administrative offices. Improved communications had increased the ability of monarchs to exercise military and informal controls over relatively distant localities. Smaller commercial republics also had become more centralized as a result of similar processes. Democrats accepted the idea of the state as a single sovereign power. They just argued that sovereignty resided in the people rather than an individual monarch. Finally, as modern state became more powerful, so they promoted national languages and symbols in attempts to foster social homogeneity. Okay? So, nanabay nag-answer. So, let me post question number 1 dito sa atong group chat as well as ang question number 2 for participation. Okay, deadline sa participation sa pag-answer sa atong mga questions while live stream will end after mag-end pod ang ato ang live stream. Okay, so kinsa to maka-answer ani? Ato siyang i-record para naamoy participation. So question number 2. What is sovereign power? Okay, so I'll be posting question number 1 and question number 2 sa ato ang group chat for the participation of those who cannot join our live stream. Okay, so question number 1 and number 2 is already posted sa inyong group chat. Okay, so nagputang ko dito og instructions sa inyong group chat. So participation and answering questions posted will be recorded. Recording of answers as participation will end after the live stream. Any answers posted after the live stream will not be recorded. So we have question number 1 and question number 2 posted sa inyong group chat. Pwede mo dito mag-answer sa inyong mga answers. So, moving on sa ato ang topic. Okay, so before that, we have here participants. Okay, so good afternoon, Miss Badilla Shanko Rapatan, Mr. Boholano, Miss Elen Bachanicha, Miss Abu, and Mr. Alim. So I will be reading your answers later, Mr. Alim. Okay, so let us continue sa ato ang topic. So, ito sulatan mo daghan yung answers before nato basahon. So, let us continue. Of course, even the most centralized and homogeneous societies included contests and conflicts among various groups. However, the growing acceptance of the sovereign state reflected changes in theory as well as in practice. 19th century thinkers typically understood society and politics in terms of a progressive historical development. Many of them thought that human history developed inexorably towards civil societies and nation states. The state appeared to them as a kind of fulfillment. They believed that each society was based on linguistic, cultural, and commercial ties, they thought that the state was the sovereign power over one such society. They suggested that this sovereign power was embodied in government institutions that were separate from the society, that these institutions both represented and ruled. As the modern state became naturalized, so the word government came to replace the medieval governance. Although some thinkers always challenge the idea of modern state as a reality or as an ideal, these thinkers remain a minority. Doubts about the idea of the state gained considerable force in the early 20th century as a result of two overlapping intellectual tendencies. One challenge to the idea of the state was theoretical. The First World War more or less decisively shattered the belief in progressive histories. Also, discoveries in logic and statistics made new types of analysis possible. Social theorists rejected 19th century narratives of the development of civil society and the state. They turned instead to a more formal modernist analysis. Indeed, it was only at the turn of the century that many of the social sciences arose as distinct disciplines separate from history and with their own professional associations and university departments. During the 20th century, social scientists increasingly discarded historical explanations and turned instead to formal classifications, correlations, and models. Many social scientists appealed to systems and structures and the location and function of units in these systems and structures. Other social scientists base their analysis on assumptions about the rational nature of individual actors. Okay, so before tayo mag-continue, post us sa question number 3. Okay, so later on, magbasa ta sa inyo mga gipang answer. So let me post question number 3 sa inyong group chat. Okay, I will read your messages sa group chat and sa inyong live chat after sa ato ang topic. Okay, a second related challenge to the idea of the state was more empirical. As social scientists rejected 19th century histories of the state, they championed new topics. Some social scientists associated constitutional law and institutional history with the pre-democratic era. They argued that the rise of a mass society and the spread of right to vote had created a new type of politics. They suggested that the study of this new politics should concentrate on political parties, organized interest groups, and public opinion as much as the institutions of central government. Over time, social scientists thus began to pay more attention to political behavior and the process of policymaking. Present-day uses of the word governance arose out of these two challenges to the idea of the state. At first, however, many people thought that a hierarchic bureaucracy could insulate policy from politics. Bureaucracies had begun to arise in Europe as part of the process of promoting centralized authority and social homogeneity. Now, in the early 20th century, people began to appeal to the administrative state as a counterweight to democratic corruption and populist excess. They argued that the bureaucracy could bring neutral scientific thinking to bear on policy making. Government, conceived as the administrative state, remain apart from markets, networks, and society. Present-day public affairs, but of corporate affairs. Let me read that again. Okay, so present-day uses of the word governance thus arose initially in discussions of the organization not of public affairs but of corporate affairs. It was not until the 1970s and 1980s that the crisis of the state destroyed faith in hierarchic bureaucracy. Policymakers then tried to reform the public sector by spreading market and network forms of organization. The result has been the rise of the new governance at the local, national, and global levels. As modernist theories changed the way people saw and made the world, so government changed into governance. Okay, so let me post again question number 4. Na-post na ba na akong question number 3? So, question number 4. Let me post. Okay, so that is question number 3. And then question number 4. Okay, so we have question number 4. For your participation, explain the term hierarchy. Okay? So let me post this sa inyong group chat. And then lastly, for okay, so number 5, later on ang number 5. So let us start reading your answers para ato ang ma-record for week number 6. BPA to 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Okay, let us read first katong naa sa ato ang live stream. Okay, so Mr. Allen answered, civil war, a violent conflict between state and one or more organized non-state actors in the state's territory. Then sovereignty is a political concept that refers to dominant power or supreme authority. Okay, so we have already answers from Mr. Alim, number 1 and number 2. So let me record this for week number 6. Answered 2 questions. Okay, recorded. Then let us continue. Okay, so good afternoon, Miss Abigail and Miss Saging. Okay, we have answer from Miss Rapatan. Sovereign is a political concept that refers to dominant power or authority. So, Miss Rapatan already has one answer. Then Miss Bachanicha, civil war is a war between organized group within the same state or country. Okay, so Bachanicha Lane. And then from Mr. Buhlano, civil war. Okay, so parehas ang inyong source. Let me record that. And then sovereignty is a political concept that refers to dominant power and supreme authority. Again, same. I will still record. Then Miss, okay, Julian Shanko. Sovereign power is to have absolute power. That is power that cannot be checked by anyone or anything. Okay, Shanko. Then from Miss Donazen, Saging civil war, also known as intrastate war in polymology, is a war between organized groups within the same state or country. Okay, thank you, Miss Saging. And from Abigail Recto, civil war is a war between. Okay, so same answer, but I will still record this. And then the aim of one side may be to take control of the country or a region, to achieve independence for a region, or to change government policies. Okay, so thank you, Ms. Saging. And Mr. Buholano, sovereign power, a political concept that refers to a dominant. Okay, same answer sa uban. So, Kim Buholano. Okay, two answers na. Then, okay, as well as Miss Badilia Marel. Same answers. Okay, answer si Marel. Isa. Then Abigail Sovereign expresses some core ideas of political modernity, including the fundamentally important notion of political independence. Okay, Abigail Recto. Then from Donna Zen, civil society refers to the space for collective action around shared interests and values generally distinct from government and commercial for profit actors. Okay, thank you, Miss Saging. Kinsa pa ni uban be? Kim Bolano, civil society refers to the space. Okay, so same answer. Civil society refers. Okay, so same answer. So Bolano and Buchanicha. Then Ricto. Okay, same answer. Pero ata siyang record. Then Alim. Okay, same answer. Pero recorded siya. The sovereign is one who sets power without limitations. Sovereignty is essential. Power to make laws even as Blackstone define it. Kinsa ba ni si Blackstone? Miss Saging. Okay. Hierarchy is a system or organized in which people or groups are ranked. Okay, so same answer sa uban, but still will be recorded. Elaine. Okay. Abigail, hierarchy is an organizational structure in which items. Okay, so same. Abigail recto. Question number 5 will be personal answers. I'll be posting it later on. Sa kinsa to, Abigail recto. Kim. Elaine and Abigail. And then Julian Shanko. Civil society. Kailangan ko isa. A system of person or things rank. Okay, so muna siyang hierarchy. Again, recorded as well as the answer of Miss Shanko. Okay, we have also from Miss Saging government by ecclesiastical rulers, the power of dominion of hierarch, an organized body of ecclesiastical officials in successive ranks or orders. Okay, so this is Roman Catholic na hierarchy. Okay, thank you, Miss Saging. Miss Donazen. Then from Miss Abuk, hierarchy is a group of people or things arranged in order of rank. Okay, so Miss Abuk, ang imong answer sa question number 1, 2, and 3, wala pa. And then let's go to the messenger. Basta na daghan answer dito. Okay, so we have here kinsa man ni Miss Padua. Civil war refers to a violent conflict between organized groups within a country that are fighting over control of government. Okay, one side separatist goals or some divisive government policy. So thank you, Miss Padua, for your answer. Let me record your answer. Okay, then who else? Okay, sovereignty is the full right and power of a governing body over itself without any interference from outside sources or bodies. Excuse me. In political theory, sovereignty is a substantive term designating supreme legitimate authority over some policy. In international law, sovereignty is the exercise of power by a state. De jure, sovereignty refers to the legal right to do so. De facto, sovereignty is refers to the factual ability to doing so. This can become an issue of special concern upon the failure of the usual expectation that de jure and de facto sovereignty exist at the place and time of concern and reside within the same organization. Okay, thank you, Miss Padua. Your answer is recorded. Okay, thank you. Okay, bahalag dili makasulod sa live stream, Miss Padua, basta kayo naka-answer dito sa ato ang group chat. Okay? Again, recorded na imong answer, Miss Padua, sa 1 and 2. And then, It's okay, Miss Padua. Recorded na imong answers. So, question number 3 and question number 4 na lang imong kulang. Okay, let me read. Kinsa man ni si Mr. Lumansod. Sovereignty is a political concept that refers to dominant power or supreme authority in a monarchy. Supreme power resides in the sovereign or king. The sovereign is the one who exercises power without limitation. Sovereignty is essentially the power to make laws. Okay, so kini si Blackstone, most learning author sa usa ka book nga permente mention ninyo. Okay, so Mr. Lumonsod, let me record your participation. So nanakay isa. Then we have here from Ms. Padua, civil society refers to the space for collective action around shared interests, purposes, and values generally distinct from government and commercial for-profit actors. Civil society actors can enhance the participation of communities in the provision of services and in policy decision making. Okay, noted, Ms. Padua. So we already have 3 answers na akong na-record. And then for question number 4, okay, Lomansod. Civil society refers to space, so same ng gihapon. However, civil society is not homogeneous and boundaries between civil society and government or civil society and commercial actors can be blurred. There is certainty no one civil society view and civil society actors need to contend with similar or representative and legitimacy as those of our representatives and advocates. Okay, despite its complexity, okay, inclusion of civil society voices is essential to give expression to the marginalized and those who often are not heard. Civil society actors can, okay, the Commission on Social Determinants of Health. Okay, where is this commission? Murag wala nini exist sa Philippines. Was set up with a separate civil society stream of work on social determinants of health, which contributed case studies and separate report. Okay,